One thing I wanted to ask you about, Jeremy, was I saw last week that I think I saw this as a post on LinkedIn about invest in rest. And because I know one of the things we wanted to touch about a little bit was about productivity and some of the challenges and dilemmas related to productivity now in a year and a half sort of post COVID world. But I wanted to start with invest in rest because I'm tired. I'm burnt out. Jerry and I talk about this. He's burnt out. We're both like burning the midnight oil and working on a lot of different things. Can you tell us a little bit about the invest and rest movement? Like what inspired that, and what's the intention behind it, and how has it been going?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and frankly, it's it's so tough because it's hard to detect in a COVID world too, right? Where you got this great employee base that you're not necessarily connecting on a personal level on a day to day basis anymore. So it's hard to detect as somebody under stress, and that's as much as you were able to in a previous world. And so we you know we're not a retailer, but we're a heavy Q4-ish kind of company, and so lots of our features are getting launched right now. We're doing our big launch for creators tomorrow. So our teams have been burning, pretty hard. But as we looked at the data in COVID, I think almost every single engineering company reported an early increase in productivity. And as I've done research, not only here, but also with a number of third parties that have been investigating this by looking at people's calendars and when they're checking in code and these sorts of things, you're seeing people's work days grow, right, across the board. And it used to be, okay, you work as an engineer, you're working most of the time, you're working like an 8 to 9 to 10 hour day. And now people are working like these 12-hour blocks, and they might have some breaks in between, but it's a really long time to be building products and being focused and just not being away. So what we've decided to do is we've been calling them intentions days, like intentions, like, hey, leave the company, don't talk. It's like literally extra holidays, and it's frankly it's made a huge difference, and not only in the morale but the productivity of our teams. Is if one thing, if I go take a personal day off, when I come back, I've got 2 days worth of email I got to go deal with. Right? If the whole company takes a day off, then you're pretty much free. That's like an extra Saturday, if you know what I mean. And so it's really helped us a ton. And so not every company can afford it or will do that. But, if you think about taking some time for yourself and like getting your life in order, work-life balance is a real thing. And so we were just worried that, given where we were in the cycle, that we just needed to make sure people had some time to rest, if you will. And not everybody does that. I mean, engineers in particular, they can code. I mean, you've seen, coding all night kind of sessions, and you don't have anything else to do. Your friends aren't going out. Like, oh, I'll just code a little longer, right? And it can be pretty unhealthy, right? And so that's what we're trying to prevent from happening.
I think it's so relatable because I think Jerry and I, in different ways and in different sort of expressions of that, have found ourselves in places like that where we weren't really going anywhere, but so we might as well work late doing something like this, launching this new thing. And so I guess for somebody who's going to roll this out, like I'm looking for just like your quick advice for if you were to do like a full day off for the team. Like how do you set that up? Like how far in advance do you communicate that to the team? Like how do you set expectations around? Do you have like quick like structural tips for how to set up something like that? Because I'm also like asking in case like Jerry wants to do this before one of our big launches and things that we're doing. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because we've had these debates because the last Contentions Day we announced just 2 weeks before we did it, and frankly, it was kind of a disaster for some teams because if you got this launch coming up, like taking 2 weeks or 2 day, 1 or 2 days out of a schedule that's only 2 weeks long can be really painful. So I would say give it a month to say, hey, next month we're going to take an extra day, that sort of thing. If you do it the next week, you cause all kinds of problems where teams are, they're not ready and they can't do it and that sort of thing. So people can plan around it. That's number one. Number two, we also ask people to go out and, show their teams what they did on that day. And you had people from, like, I went to go visit my mom, or we went on a hike, or I just sat on the freaking couch and watched movies all day, just so that you could, like, get people to really, like, let go versus, just sort of quietly checking and that sort of thing. And it's been great. And frankly, it's been super well received in the org. So, like I said, not everybody can do it. I've had to do this for years. When I was at Walmart, I didn't have a Thanksgiving for 8 years, right? Because you really can't work on Thanksgiving when
Oh,
you're a
I
Black Friday
didn't
kind of
even
company.
think about that.
So yeah, exactly. So you have to remember that you don't have to go give people sort of an extra few days to go have a Thanksgiving for their families, right? Especially for people who are working in the knock or they're SRE types. It's pretty hard to give those folks the day off that when everybody else is off. Somebody's got to watch. You're running a 24/7 business like we are. Not everybody can take the day off, right? So make sure you're paying special attention to those folks who don't get the day off and give them a couple of days off later. You know what I mean?